From migration policies to international development, our faculty, including Professor Christina Ewig, work to protect human dignity and social justice worldwide. Christina, can you share how your students' work advances this mission?
I certainly can, and maybe it's good to step back and talk about what we mean by human dignity and social justice at the Humphrey School.
So important.
We take a broad view. It can mean anything from the opportunity to live a healthy life, freedom from violence, and the right to have one's voice heard in local and national government. And these are examples of the values behind this mission of social justice and human dignity that students share, whether they come from Pakistan or come from Minneapolis. A lot of the students that I work with come to work with me because I am the director of the Center on Women, Gender, and Public Policy.
That has an anniversary.
That has an anniversary this year. We have 40 years of the Center on Women, Gender, and Public Policy at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. The first center dedicated to research, teaching, and outreach on gender and public policy in the nation. And we have a pre-designed concentration in gender and public policy that's led by the center, as well as this year a new minor in gender intersectionality and public policy that any student at the university at the graduate level can take part in.
Across the university system.
Across the university system.
Great.
So students often come and they come to work with me because of an interest in gender and intersectionality, because we have those course offerings, because there are opportunities to work on different projects led by the center. So to give you some examples, I had one student about a year ago who was a Fulbright student from Bolivia and came to study at the Humphrey School, took my course on comparative social policy in Europe and the Americas, so was able to study in depth social policies in Latin America, his home, and compare those to those in Europe and the United States, and take away key lessons about how to design inclusive social policies. And now he's working in the education sector of Bolivia and applying those principles.
Based on his work and research and coursework here in the Midwest, in Minneapolis. Fantastic.
Yes. Another example, during the COVID years, at the height of COVID actually, I worked with a student who had a very strong interest in gender-based violence and approached me about working with the center on some of our reports. And I put together a study with her to look at the impact of the stay-at-home orders as a result of COVID and what kind of impact that had on the rates of domestic violence.
We were at home, oh my gosh, for at least 3 months to 6 months solid, with limited time out. So what did they find?
Problem of isolation meant that it was more difficult to escape violent situations in domestic life. And there was a lot of strain on domestic violence service providers. So that was something that the student led documentation in, and then was able to use that as a springboard for achieving her doctorate, which she just graduated this year and is now working in the Minnesota State Department of Public Safety as a researcher.
Oh, that's fantastic. So from coursework here to really applying public safety in her current job. That's great.
Coursework and work with the center.
And work with the center.
Yeah. I've had a couple of students who have been very interested in the impact of state and local level policies for LGBTQIA students and what that means for the experience of kids at elementary and high schools. So one a few years ago took survey data and looked at the impact of differing state policies in the American South and what that meant for the mental health of LGBTQIA students, and found important differences, that state level policy matters for mental health outcomes.
And was the student from the South?
The student was from the South, was from Tennessee. Another student from Minneapolis did qualitative research along the same lines, looking at the Minneapolis school system and their new, a relatively new, inclusion policy for LGBTQIA students. And this student was especially interested in how well that was being implemented. So interviewed a range of parents with trans kids in the Minneapolis public schools to evaluate the degree to which the schools have actually implemented and how well they have implemented their own inclusion policy. But some really important findings that I think will already have an impact. She's been approached by a local organization to help to do some training by that organization on trans issues in the schools.
Christina, thank you. And what you've shared is a set of examples around human dignity and social justice, not just here in Minneapolis, as in the last example, but across the globe, to Bolivia. Thank you. Thank you for your work.